A large Danish retailer going by the name of ProShop has released statistics for the RTX 30 series sales and the orders that they've shipped. And let me put it this way. It doesn't look promising. It brokey. It brokey. ProShop ordered 16 SKUs for each class of GPU from Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, and Inno3D. And here are the statistics as of October 22nd, which was yesterday. ProShop ordered 2,012 units. Of that, 309 have been delivered or are incoming, which is a fulfillment rate of 15%. 312 unfilled orders with 161 delivered to customers, making for a delivery rate of 34%. 65% if you count the confirmed incoming cards, but those have not technically shipped to customers yet, in spite of the fact that these cards have been available for weeks. For the RTX 3080, wow, that's 3090? They've only shipped 309 to ProShop? Okay, all right. Wow, that's a lot of GPU. How many people, like, that many people are buying $1,500 graphics cards? Okay, sorry. No wonder NVIDIA, like, has enough money to buy ARM. RTX 3080. ProShop says they ordered 9,010 and have received 871, including those which are incoming, a fulfillment rate of 9.7%. They have... Luke's laughing. He's reading ahead of me here. They have 3,772 unfilled orders and have managed to deliver only 504 to customers, a delivery rate of 12% or 20% if we count the confirmed incoming cards. Now, they've even put RTX 3070 numbers in here, which is interesting because RTX 3070 has not launched and the embargo hasn't lifted yet, but they apparently pre-ordered 4,330. I mean, they might as well have just pre-ordered 40,000 for all it matters. Like, they're only going to get however many they get. They only got 206, counting those that are incoming.
4.8% fulfillment rate, baby. Doing well.
Ooh. So these early figures indicate that NVIDIA's stock situation may not have improved since the delay of the RTX 3070. And it's funny because that was like, wasn't that why they said they were delaying the RTX 3070 so that they could build up more stock?
Yeah.
And like, again, the funny thing is like RTX 3070 is a completely different GPU. Like, it's not even a GA102. It's a GA, I don't know if this is public information. Tech Power Up says it is a GA104. I think. No, Tech Power Up does not say that. Let's find someone who says it is. Videocards.com says the 3070 mobile. Ah, dang it. Okay. Videocards.net. I just need someone I can cite here. Yeah, videocards.net says that the 3070 is a GA104 GPU. There you go. So it's a completely different GPU. Now, it is built on the same 8nm Samsung process, according to videocards.net. Here, see, look. there, it's on there. See, look, it's on there. The 8nm process, okay? Right there. It's plain as the nose on my face. And that's a substantial sized nose, Luke, let me tell you. And so you could argue it two ways. You could say, okay, well, I can see why they can't deliver any 3080s because they're busy shipping all the GA102s as 3090s, which cost twice as much or whatever. And then you could say, you know, with 3070, well, there's no excuse because all the good GA104s should just go straight into 3070s. But the thing is, because it's built on the same process node from Samsung, however much 8nm waferage they've managed to get booked is pretty much the bottleneck for how many of these cards total they can actually build. So what I think, this is just a guess, this is a total hot take, and it may be just as bad as the one from Alex Hutchinson earlier, but probably not. What I think is that NVIDIA delayed the launch of the 3070 so that they could build up inventory of the 3080 and the 3090. I don't think that they've been beavering away building up inventory of 3070, because if I was NVIDIA and I had any fab allocation, I'd say, you print them 3090s, baby. You print them 3090s real good. And then if you print a bad one, yeah, we're going to ship that as a 3080. We ship as many of these as we possibly can because RTX 3070 is supposed to be, let me just make sure, MSRP, blah, blah, blah. According to Tom's Guide, it's going to be $500, making it a far, far smaller transaction from NVIDIA's standpoint. Now, because you want to maintain a good relationship with your customers, you definitely do want to ship some of these. I can just see why they wanted to give themselves a little bit of time. It is pretty clear to me at this point that NVIDIA went super aggressive on their RTX 3000 pricing, knowing full well that they were not going to be able to ship enough of them, just as a gigantic you to Sony, Microsoft, and AMD, because there is no reason why they couldn't have charged 20% more for these, 30% more for them. You can see it. People are paying that price on eBay. People are desperate for something to finally run their games faster. It's been so long, if you're a high-end consumer, that they could have pretty much charged whatever they wanted for them. But it's very clear that they came in at these prices knowing they weren't going to have enough out of the gate because they wanted to put pressure on their competition. And the problem is that if I'm NVIDIA, I can't launch them at a high price today and then drop my price 6 weeks later or 8 weeks later when the new consoles launch or when AMD launches a competitor, because then I look reactionary. So NVIDIA pretty much had to shoot themselves in the foot to avoid shooting themselves in the face. If you think about it from like a 1,000-foot strategic view.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for Jensen. I mean, not really, because I think he has a new leather jacket for every day of the week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a pretty difficult person to feel bad for, especially financially.
Kitchen costs as much as my house, but
yeah,
it's a nice kitchen. You seen that kitchen, Luke?
Just the oven, dude.
You
just
seen that
the
kitchen?
Oven. Just the what looks like the marble backdrop to the oven, carved by ancient Greeks.
Nymphs.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just that might cost as much as, like, I don't know. Definitely my apartment.
All right. Now, something to bear in mind about all of these figures is that NVIDIA's is that Europe has largely gotten the short end of the stick with respect to RTX 3000 series allocation, apparently, allegedly. And it's important to keep in mind that Denmark itself is relatively tiny with a population of just 5.8 million as of 2019.
But the orders were placed. I don't know if that's very relevant.
Oh, it's relevant. It's relevant.
Why would the population of the area be relevant versus the orders placed?
Because what I can tell you is that coming from a retailer in a relatively small region, because compared to China or the US, Canada is a relatively small region.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The kinds of orders that we would place would be very different from what someone like a Newegg would place. So in the same way, we might order, okay, so let's look at ProShop. So Canada was a, hold on a second, I'm getting Teams messages here. Bug me Monday, please don't message right now. It pings the whole WAN show. Smiley face. Okay. So Canada, right. So we might order 5,000 units of RTX 3090. We might try to back order 5,000 units. By comparison, someone like a Newegg might have 80,000 units on back order. Totally different scale. So,
but do you think that would affect? So you think that would affect the fulfillment rate of those orders, though?
I think that it can have a weight because here's what you got to understand. In the event that all of a sudden NVIDIA suddenly magically figures out their production and they actually ship you 2,000 GPUs, you have to be able to sell them, right? So there's a number of factors at play here. One is how many you want to order to indicate your, what you think you can sell, right? How many NVIDIA actually thinks you can sell. And remember that they have a ton of historical data to go on because these are retailers that they'll have been working with for years and board partners that they've been working with for years. And even going back to when I was in the business, this is not the kind of thing that NVIDIA will just leave to their board partners like an ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, and Inno3D. Like NVIDIA particularly right at launch, is going in and hand allocating based on who they think can actually move the inventory, who they think is strategically more important from like a marketing and visibility standpoint.
I was gonna try to bring that up because I bet you, despite this literally happening, and this is evidence that is going to be against what I'm gonna say, I would suspect the American/North American crowd would probably be a little bit more screechy about these types of problems than a lot of other demographics.
And
so you might want to allocate to them a little bit more because of that.
And even within a region, you might find particular customers that are going to be louder and more upset and or make more sense to support, like your system integrators. NVIDIA has a long and storied history of making sure that system integrators, who rather than selling, one card, are selling an entire gaming experience to who is effectively an NVIDIA customer at the end of the day. You could make the argument that those are more important. Those are more timely because whoever's ordering an individual card presumably already has a graphics card of some sort, whereas someone ordering a full system may not actually have a functioning system. So there's all kinds of factors that come into play when they're deciding how to do these things. I remember one of them being, I can't remember what card this was, and whatever. Whatever NDA I signed at NCIX, I can't imagine it still applies. But I remember this one time when I think this was in the Fermi days. So this would be, was it 480 or something like that? Maybe it was 285. I don't remember. It was a period of time where NVIDIA was not particularly competitive. And what they essentially wanted us to do must have been 280 or 285. I'm sorry. It escapes me when exactly it was. It was a time when NVIDIA wasn't particularly competitive in the mid-range. And they basically were like, you're allowed to order 100 of these like cards everyone wants, but you have to take like 600 of these ones that like nobody wants. And I was like, okay, but like, how am I going to sell 600, like 9,600 GSs or whatever? I don't remember what it was. I really wish that I did. Cause I was like, how on earth am I going to move these? Like, you guys know back at NCIX, like we would by a unit count, we would sell more of an $800 graphics card than an $80 graphics card. Cause it just wasn't our business. Meanwhile, the Best Buy right down the street would sell 20 to 1 of that $80 card versus the $800 card. It's just different customers, different expectations.
I worked at that Best Buy down the street. We did not move the expensive cards. It did like ever.
Exactly.
It collected dust.
Exactly. So I remember that sometimes allocation of a product you want is dependent on how much you can move of a product that NVIDIA is trying to get rid of. Now, NVIDIA hasn't been in a position where they've had to really get rid of anything in like many years now. They've had a lot, they've ridden from one success to another, but I know that used to affect things. So there's the relationship, there's the optics from like an outsider standpoint of like who should be getting cards. There's the history, there's the, how much are they scratching your back? How much do you want to scratch their back? It's business. It's business, guys. It's not as simple as like, well, I placed an order, so I should get it. And this is the kind of stuff that consumers can't and shouldn't have to care about. But at the end of the day, if you want to understand what's going on, you sort of have to. What do you want me to tell you?
Those are going to be the things that you are suddenly concerned with now that these numbers were published. Yep. I wonder how their orders are going to get filled after publishing this information.
Probably not too great. Do you want a pro tip, by the way, guys? If you want to get a card, one of the best ways to get one is instead of queuing up for a SKU that already exists, wait for a new launch of like Asus is doing a Gundam edition card, for example. You will pay more, but it'll cost you less than scalping one of the other ones on eBay, and you will probably get, a brand new card with a warranty from a retailer versus having to wait for it. So waiting around for like a Kingpin edition or FTW 76 Super Clock plus KO, whatever their stupid suffixes are now over at EVGA. So if you wait around for a new SKU launch, typically, if I'm in Asus or an EVGA or Gigabyte or whatever, I'm squirreling away enough GPUs so that I can do a launch, even though I know that it's going to sell it right away. And I saw people just order like the wrong SKU and just sit in the queue like forever, especially if it's an entry level one. Because if I'm an EVGA, you know, what's my higher priority? I want to fill every customer order, and I will eventually fill your order, I promise. But which one am I going to prioritize more? You know, an FTW3 ACS cooler, super clock that I make, you know, $60 or $70 on, or a base model one at the basic NVIDIA suggested MSRP where I make like $35 a card. Well, probably the one that keeps my business running, right? What do you want? That's just the reality of it. There's not a lot of margin in this for board partners.
That's how everything is going to work at like every company ever.
Yeah, and even the ones that by and large have, you know, a strong ethical base to them and really care about their customers and love their customers, they still have to keep the doors open. So they have to.
And they can do both, but there's going to be priority levels on things, you know.
Of course.